She never planned to become someone special. In fact, most of her life, she believed she was just an ordinary girl living an ordinary routine. Her home was small, quiet, and usually filled with the sounds of everyday life pots in the kitchen, the old ceiling fan, the street noise from outside. Music was never a big part of her world. No one in her family played instruments, and no one talked about songs or melodies. Still, she always felt something different inside her, something she couldn't explain. From childhood, she had a strange habit. Whenever she sat at the dining table or waited for her turn in school, her fingers would tap tiny rhythms. Soft taps, repeating patterns almost like she was playing an invisible piano. Her parents noticed it a few times, but brushed it off as just a childish habit. They never thought it meant something, and she didn't think much of it either. She just liked the feeling of tapping a rhythm. It made her feel calm. School wasn't the easiest place for her. She wasn't the loud type, she wasn't the girl who loved crowds, and she wasn't the one who always topped her classes. She preferred sitting quietly and observing things. She liked watching how sunlight fell on the windows, how shadows shifted when people walked by, how small things created small moments. She lived in those details, but she never talked about it. She never felt the need. One day, something unexpected happened at school. She was walking down a hallway she rarely used, and she heard a strange sound, soft, metallic, slightly broken, but still beautiful. It was the sound of an old piano key being pressed. She followed the sound slowly, like someone being pulled by a thread. The hallway led to a room she had never seen before. A storage room. That's what the sign said. Inside, there were chairs stacked on each other, boxes filled with old files, and right at the center, an old upright piano with scratches on its wooden body. It looked forgotten, almost abandoned. The lid was slightly open, and one of the music teachers was trying to press a few keys to check if it still worked. She stood at the door quietly, unsure if she should step in. The teacher noticed her, smiled, and asked if she wanted to try. Her first instinct was to say no. She wasn't used to trying new things in front of people, but something inside her pushed her forward. Maybe it was curiosity, maybe the soft piano sound she heard earlier. She slowly walked toward the piano. The teacher stepped aside, letting her sit on the small wooden bench. The keys looked intimidating at first, so many of them, all in neat rows. She placed her fingers on them gently, not knowing what to do. The teacher noticed her hesitation and pulled out a very old music book from a nearby shelf. The pages were yellow, the edges torn, and some ink had faded. But the title on the first page caught her attention. It said, "Easy Piano Chord Songs." The teacher explained that these were the simplest chords anyone could learn. C major, G major, A minor, F major, basic ones. No need to read complicated notation. Just simple shapes for the fingers. As she listened, she felt both nervous and excited. She tried pressing the first chord, C major. The sound wasn't perfect because one of the keys stuck a little, but it still echoed gently across the room. That small echo changed something in her. It was the first time in her life she heard a sound she created that felt meaningful. She tried the second chord, then the third. Each time, the sound felt like something awakening inside her. She wasn't fast, she wasn't confident, and she made mistakes. But she liked the feeling. She liked how her fingers created something she could feel. From that day on, the piano room became her place. The teacher allowed her to use it after school hours. Most students went home or played outside, but she quietly walked to the old storage room, closed the door, and sat in front of the piano. She didn't care that some keys were slightly off tune or that the bench wobbled a little. She just wanted to press those simple chords again and again. At first, she played exactly what the old book showed her, slowly moving from one chord to the next. But soon she started experimenting. She added a few notes between chords. She created small patterns that weren't in the book. She didn't know if they were correct or not. She just liked how they sounded. The more she played, the more she felt close to herself, like she was discovering something she had been carrying inside her without knowing. Playing those easy piano chord songs gave her comfort the way nothing else ever did. It became the best part of her day. Some evenings, she stayed a little longer than she should have. The sky outside would turn orange, then purple, then almost dark. But she wouldn't leave until she played the chords perfectly at least once. She wasn't trying to become a musician. She wasn't trying to impress anyone. She was just trying to understand a feeling inside her, a feeling she never felt before. The music teacher sometimes passed by the room and listened quietly without disturbing her. He noticed that she wasn't playing like a beginner anymore. Even though she knew only simple chords, the way she pressed them, the rhythm she instinctively created, and the small pauses she added showed something special. Something rare. Something real, but he didn't tell her that. He didn't want to put pressure on her. She was still learning, still discovering. He just let her play freely. Weeks turned into months. The piano no longer felt like an instrument to her. It felt like a friend, a quiet companion who listened to her emotions without asking questions. When she felt stressed, she played a slow pattern. When she felt happy, she played something soft and bright. When she felt confused, she played freely without thinking. Every sound helped her understand her feelings better. One afternoon, while she was practicing, she accidentally played a combination of notes that didn't belong to any easy chords she learned. But the sound was beautiful. Strangely beautiful. She repeated it, then added another note. And then another. She didn't realize it at the time, but she had begun creating something original. Something uniquely hers. If someone had walked in at that moment, they would have seen a quiet girl sitting in a dusty old room, playing an old piano with chipped paint. But if they closed their eyes and only listened, they would have heard the beginning of something magical forming in her hands. She didn't think she was talented. She didn't think she was doing anything extraordinary. She was simply following her heart, following the sound, following the soft pull inside her that began the first time she pressed the C major chord dot. She had no idea that these simple after-school moments, this private relationship with the piano, and these easy piano chord songs she practiced every day, were all leading her toward something much bigger, something she wasn't prepared for, something that would change her life in a way she never imagined. The day everything changed looked like any normal day from the outside. The sky was clear, the air felt calm, and students were walking around the school courtyard, laughing and talking as usual. But inside the building, something very different was quietly being prepared. The school was hosting a small talent evening, something they did once a year. It wasn't a big event, nothing fancy, just a place where students could show their skills in front of teachers and parents. Most students performed dance acts, poetry, short skits, or group songs. Very few ever played instruments because not many students knew how. The old storage room piano wasn't even used for events. It had never been moved. But this time, one of the teachers suggested bringing it out because the music room piano had a technical issue. They had no other choice. She was sitting in her classroom when her music teacher walked in with a small list in hand. He looked around the room, scanning faces slowly, and then his eyes settled on her. He didn't smile, but there was a calm expression on his face, the kind that said he was about to ask something unusual. He walked toward her desk and quietly said that he wanted her to perform something at the talent evening. Her heart almost stopped. She wasn't expecting that. She never asked to join. She wasn't even prepared for the idea. She had only played in a small room alone, never in front of people. Her hands felt cold for a moment, and she tried to explain that she wasn't confident enough. She didn't know what she would play, and she didn't want to embarrass herself, but the teacher gently told her that she didn't have to perform anything complicated. He said she could simply play the easy piano chord songs she practiced daily. Nothing more. Nothing less. Just a simple tune. She still felt unsure, but something inside her whispered that maybe this was important. Maybe it was something she needed to face. She nodded slowly, though her stomach felt heavy and her heartbeat felt loud. The next few days were strange for her. Every time she sat at the piano after school, she felt nervous. Her hands trembled slightly. She wasn't afraid of the instrument. She was afraid of the idea of people watching. She had never been someone who enjoyed attention. She preferred silence, small spaces, and quiet corners. Her world was always gentle and calm, not loud and bright, but the teacher's words stayed with her. And just play the easy chords. She practiced them again and again. C major, G major, A minor, F major. The same patterns she used to play with ease now felt heavier. She told herself to breathe. She told herself that she knew these chords better than anyone else. She told herself that the piano wouldn't judge her. The day of the event arrived faster than she expected. The school hall was decorated with simple lights, white fabric, and a small stage at the front. Parents sat in rows, talking softly. Students gathered backstage, preparing their acts. It wasn't a grand audience, but for someone shy like her, it felt huge. The old upright piano had been pushed onto the stage. It looked even older under the warm yellow lights, but its wooden body had a quiet charm. She kept staring at it from backstage, feeling both fear and comfort. That piano was her safe place, but now it was sitting in the most unsafe place she could imagine. Public stage. The teacher approached her one last time before her turn. He didn't give any complicated advice. He simply told her, "Play the way you always play. Don't worry about the crowd. Just touch the keys the way you do when no one is watching." His voice helped her steady her breathing. When her name was announced, she felt something inside her freeze for a second. The lights looked too bright, the audience felt too silent, and the stage suddenly looked much bigger than before. She walked toward the piano slowly, trying not to look at anyone. Her hands felt slightly cold and her steps felt heavier than usual. But she made it to the bench and sat down gently. For a moment, she did nothing. She just stared at the keys, the same keys she had touched hundreds of times alone. She took a soft breath and told herself that she wasn't here to impress anyone. She was just here to play the same simple chords she always played. She pressed the first chord softly. The sound echoed quietly across the hall. It was gentle, slow, and almost fragile, but it reached every corner of the room. People stopped whispering. Even the restless students sat still. Something about the way she pressed the keys had a calmness that touched the room. She moved to the next chord, then the next. The pattern was simple, exactly like the book taught her. But the way she played, it wasn't simple at all. She played with emotion, with softness, with something real. Each chord blended into the next with natural flow, like a small story being told without words. Halfway through the piece, something unexpected happened. She didn't even realize she was doing it. Her hands moved slightly differently, adding a few additional notes between the chords, the same notes she had accidentally discovered months ago in the storage room. She didn't plan it. She didn't think about it. It just happened. Like her fingers remembered something her mind had forgotten. The moment those extra notes flowed, the sound changed. The simple chords turned into something deeper, something richer. The hall grew even quieter. People leaned forward slightly, trying to understand how such a calm-looking girl was creating such emotional music. She closed her eyes for a second, and in that moment she stopped thinking about the stage. She stopped thinking about the crowd. She forgot she was performing. She felt as if she was back in the small storage room, alone, playing freely with no pressure. Her hands moved naturally, creating a pattern she had never fully shaped before. A tune that wasn't written in any book. A tune that came from her heart. By the time she played the final chord, the hall felt like it was holding its breath. Her fingers rested on the keys for a moment before she slowly lifted her hands. She didn't look up at first. She wasn't sure what to expect. She didn't know if she made mistakes or if she went off track. She only knew she played what she felt. When she finally lifted her head, the room was silent for a few seconds, a deep silence that didn't feel empty. It felt full. Then slowly, people began clapping. Not a loud, chaotic applause, but a warm, rising one. Some parents stood up. Some teachers exchanged surprised looks. Even students who usually didn't care about music were clapping with wide eyes. She didn't understand why. She had only played simple chords. She had only done what she always did after school. But the audience wasn't reacting to the chords. They were reacting to the feeling behind them. They felt something in her music. Something honest. Something pure. Something she didn't even know she had given them. Her teacher stood backstage smiling quietly, not surprised at all. He always knew there was something unique in her, something she hadn't discovered yet. After the event, people came to her with gentle smiles, telling her how beautiful the music felt. She didn't know what to say. She wasn't used to receiving attention like that. She simply nodded politely and thanked them softly, but something had changed. She no longer felt like the girl who hid in quiet corners. She no longer felt like someone ordinary. She felt a new kind of confidence, not loud confidence, but soft, steady confidence. The kind that grows slowly, quietly, but strongly. That night when she returned home, she felt a calm excitement in her chest. She realized that her journey didn't start on the stage. It began the day she played her first easy piano chord songs on that old broken piano. Those simple chords had opened a door inside her, and the stage performance had pushed that door wider. She didn't know where music would take her in the future. She didn't know if she would become a musician or if she would continue just playing for herself. But she knew one thing clearly: she had created something beautiful, something honest, something that came from her heart, and she had done it with the simplest chords anyone could learn. But in her hands, those simple chords became a masterpiece.